Good morning. Good morning. This is Abundance Book Club. Vicki Root is with me this morning. Hi, Vicki.
Hello. Good
For the month
morning.
of Good morning. For the month of December, we have been reading The Audacity to Be Queen, an amazing book. If you have not picked it up yet, do yourself a favor and pick it up. It is so good. We have some other amazing books that are lined up for the next couple of months. I'm so excited about. So if you love reading, if you love personal growth, if you love hanging with some fun women who love the same, come join us every morning, Monday through Friday, in this conversation at 10 a.m. Eastern time, or jump right into the book club. We'll have the Facebook group link in the comments for you, but hit subscribe and come hang out with us. So Vicki, we get to talk about something that has been a thread in every book, really, that I've read on these topics: money, self-worth, success, all of the things.
Okay.
And this is, go ahead, what were you saying?
No, I said, okay, I'm listening. I'm in.
Right. So this has been in every book, at least in some way, and she goes really deep in this chapter about it. But really, that our source for success is source itself. Whether whether someone calls that source God, the universe, I do call it God, because to me it's a very rich relationship. I imagine people who also use the word universe have an amazing relationship, because it really is about that relationship. It isn't about this thing, right, that just happens, this system that we happen to be a part of. It truly is about a relationship. And she talks about it in this book. And the reason that it is so important to me is because I am getting so many lessons right now. And the fact that I have choice, but I do not have control.
Ooh.
I have free will, I have choice, I get to make my choices, but I do not get to control it. Do not get to control the outcome. I don't get to like none of it. Like I don't have control.
And here's what's coming up as I'm hearing you say that.
Yes.
We can try to have control,
right?
We can think we have control. When we don't have control, things are so much smoother, and it feels so. It's like diving, walking across the
like the diving board.
No, in the circus, the tightrope, walking across the tightrope without a net, and
so I'm going to pause you real quick and just tell everybody that's listening. Vicki used to be in the circus, so she'll pull in some fun circus stuff for us. Go. I love that.
Yeah, but I mean, really, it feels super uncomfortable. Yeah. And we're always being, I believe, in what I've experienced in my life, is that even when I fall, I'm always carried. Yeah, I'm always carried to like wherever I'm supposed to be. It's always something for the better thing on the flip side of it, right? As I walk further down the path, it's always for my best good, or for
everything always turns out.
Yeah.
And and every one of these books that we've read and that we're going to be reading, these women, mostly women, authors, are highly successful. And every single one of them talks about their spiritual connection. In some way, they talk about their connection to God. And I am getting, like I said, I'm getting so many lessons right now in how that I do not have control. And here's an example.
Okay.
I don't know if I know your son is a little bit older than mine, but my oldest son has been driving lately. And he has really driven, like, from one point to another, a little bit of a distance, 4 times, four times. This past time that he drove a decent trip, about a little over an hour, nothing crazy, but a decent trip, he experienced something that I, in my 43 years, have never experienced. Wait, I'm 42. Aging myself when I don't need to be. That I've never experienced, whether either as a driver or as a passenger.
Okay.
He was driving down this very fast lane, was just one, you're heading this way and there's one lane heading this way. So there's only 2 lanes. And a car in front of him coming at him goes to pass, and he had to pull, like swerve off the road, like start to hit the brakes. As soon as that car went to pass and pulled back in, two other cars get out in front of him back to back, like where they can't see what's happening, coming at him. He had to get completely off the road and stop his car. Like,
Wow.
I have surrendered so much around his driving because I know I've been Conversations with God, which is a great book, by the way, if you haven't read it. Conversation
Yeah,
with
it
God.
is.
Oh my gosh, I bawled my eyes out. Totally
Mhm.
healed so much of my relationship with God. But I've been in this conversation of I have no control over what the other cars are doing. I have no control over what he's doing, even though I trust him and he's, very level-headed and all the things. I have no control.
No.
And that was just a reminder to me that God's like, correct, you have no control, and I do. It was just like the
Wow.
sealing of the envelope or whatever on my soul that said, I am held. I don't need control. I can let go. I can trust.
Yeah.
And I can be all in. And this entrepreneur journey, I look at these successful women who have written these books and the authors and how rich that relationship is. And I know that they have walked a similar path, that they've had a similar journey that has sealed within them the deep knowing that they are held, they are led, and that they are walking the path that is meant for them.
Wow. Wow. So, so easy to miss as well, right? So easy to get caught up in the doing, right? And I think that hard times or struggle or scary situations like you went through with your son, those are the moments where we get to step back and breathe into, right? If we choose, breathe into, allow the magnitude of what's around us at all times to hold us, to hold the people we love, to, there's scary times in the world, we get to trust that we're all being held.
Yeah. We talk so much about trust in these conversations, whether it's trusting ourselves and taking that step forward or trusting, that our mission is exactly what we're meant for and that it's the path that we get to walk, trusting that we are held and supported, trusting God, all of the things. And it is in those lessons that sometimes we miss those powerful lessons. And it is in those moments when we really allow ourselves to let it in that we discover that there's nothing that we need to control. There's nothing that we need to control. In choice, we show up. We have choice. In choice, we show up. We make a difference. We serve. And in releasing control, God makes the way.
And I'll add, we also get to take action, right? So we make that choice. I used to have this belief because I would hear this, oh, well, trust God, let God guide you, right? And I would be like, okay, show me what I need to see, God, and sometimes what I missed, and of course I was being a little obstinate in that, show me, right? Like, oh, you're telling me I'm supposed to trust God, right? And so God doesn't do for us what we can do for ourselves, right? And it's like a co-creation. It's like a collaborative effort. We get to experience this journey and allow, go back to the tightrope. It is such a tightrope because we get to show up. We get to show up and we get to choose powerfully, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that you said that because where I was like, okay, and more so at that point in my life, I was very much like universe. make it happen. Here I am meditating, and I do love meditating and all the things. But yes, if we don't step up and do something, if we don't make a difference, if we don't contribute, because the beginning of abundance, the flow of abundance is putting that seed in the ground, contribution, doing something and making a difference, watering the seed. And so, yes, without doing something, we are going to be, not creating anything. We're not going to be creating results. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a team effort. I remember when I used to struggle with this idea of trusting and having faith in my higher power, and I was struggling financially. And it was I said to my spiritual mentor at the time, I don't know how God is going to pay my bills. Like, really, is he going to write the check? Like, I was very sassy about this, right? And and she just, smiled and was like, okay, Vicki. And she's like, can I ask you a question? I said, yes. She said, do you think you can carry that with God? Do you think you and God could both carry that responsibility? Because I'm like, that's not responsible, right? It's so many stories, but the idea of carrying the responsibility with God, right? Carrying that responsibility and being a part of it with God was really when I was able to integrate that faith, right? In all parts of my life, because the one part that I compartmentalized was this money piece. The other stuff I could give to God, my relationships, my blah, blah, blah. But it was that money piece that I was holding on tight to. And when I was able to do it with God, because I still got to show up, right? And I was able to palate, like I was able to believe that, right? Because sometimes, when we say these affirmations and we don't really believe them,
right,
then there's an internal fight, right? So I was having an internal fight. Luckily have a spiritual mentor that was, knows me, watching me, telling me, okay, I get you. I hear you in your little, belief. And what about this? And I got to release, that was me trying to hold on. That was me trying to control,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Totally been there too. Yeah. So the other piece, it's around the same thing, the same theme. But Spirit's way is love. And then of course the opposite of that is being in scarcity and fear. So really being in the energy of love, allowing ourselves to be love out in the world, whether it is, the way that we show up for everything that we do, or intentionally seeking out ways to make a difference and serve. So the best thing that we can do when we're in that space, that scarcity, that fear, that like holding on, clenching, is to show up and serve and make a difference. And I said this last week, but it was something that really impacted me, especially during some times that I was struggling, which was, when in doubt, look out. That's not how it goes, but it's something like that.
Focus out.
Focus out. Thank you. Focus out. So instead of having our focus in on what our fear is, what our scared, what we're scarce about, to say, okay, let me just focus out. Who can I make an impact for? Who can I leave a voice memo for, just encouraging them? Or who can I, how can I show up and serve? And it really does like start that generosity wheel and that abundance wheel going first, and the joy and getting our mind out of scarcity and into love. And then in the tangible results of the flow of abundance.
It's so powerful, and being generous and being of service to others, and just even connecting and listening to somebody else, just listening to somebody, just looking and seeing somebody, right? Makes such a profound effort because it's real easy to hide. Right? It's real easy to hide. It's real easy to go fast and just skip by things. But humanity, right? I think God is in each of us, and this source that we're talking about is so much bigger and broader when we are connecting, right? When we are showing up and being of service to ourselves and others, right? Because I think there's a piece of it that we get to also acknowledge ourselves and others, but that seeing other people, listening to other people, there are so many ways that we can be of service that we don't even need to talk about it. We don't need to share about it. When we do it, it is such a powerful motivator. And I don't know about you, but it creates so much joy and love. And like, I get in my body, I get out of my head and my mind and what's wrong and I get much more into my body. Yeah.
Yeah. And I forget, even just hearing you say that, I forget how powerful, how impactful it is to be seen, to feel seen, and to feel heard. So just being the space where someone feels seen and heard has a massive impact in healing for that individual.
And it feels good for you, right? Like, and that's not why you do it, but it's like a healing. It's kind of like that. That is when I picture like the gas, going through, that's when the machine works, right? That's when it's like this, that's when the flow and the ease and the energy and the love, like when that is going, we're connecting together. When we are by ourselves, when we are internal in judgment or in fear or whatever, there's nothing going through us. There's no spark. So yeah. I am,
well, and one of the things you said is that's not the reason we do it, right? We don't, do it for our own fulfillment, but sometimes we do, and that's okay, right? Sometimes, like, the when in doubt, focus out. It was like, I need some like inspiration and some juice over here. How do I create that? Okay, create the spark, create the connection, create that energy flow, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think, I hear you having the gasoline image. I kind of have the battery image. We were working on creating one of those like battery little things with science recently, and getting it going was like, you got to get the connections right. And it takes this piece and that piece. And when the connection happens and that electrical charge is flowing, really cool stuff happens. So it's not just, physically, it is actually part of one of the laws of the universe.
Well, here's food for thought. When we turn on our lights, do we know how those connections work? Or do we have faith that when we flip the switch, it's going to work?
Yeah, absolutely.
It does all the things it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we can't control that, right?
Right.
I mean, that was created and made by a human being, right? Yeah. But we also have to have faith that it's going to work.
Right. Yeah. Make the choice, turn the light on, make the connections. Yeah. And then trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
How it works. So it's a little science conversation for today. So funny. It was actually my least favorite subject in the whole world, but it is pretty fascinating.
It is.
So anyway, thank you.
I have a lot to learn.
We all have a lot to learn. May we always stay humble and students of life.
Yes. I'm here. I'm in.
Yes, I'm in. All right. So if you haven't subscribed yet and joined us to hang out in these conversations, go ahead and do